Good morning, everyone. This is Missy. Welcome to the Monday morning call. For those of you that don't know or recognize my voice, you are going to be speaking with Jerry and I today because for the first time in more than 22 years, we had a scheduling conflict. So Mike and Jeff are both unfortunately out of the office today, but have no fear. Jerry and I have got some fun stuff planned for you for today on the call. So we'll go ahead and get started. I'm just going to kick off here with a couple of things, and Jerry's going to take over for a little while, go through a couple of products that I think are important for you guys to be aware of, some new things that are going on. It's always good to kind of know what's new and different in the industry. And then he'll hand it back over to me, and I'll go through some drip marketing, epidemic marketing that we haven't talked about in a while. So again, just kind of for those of you that aren't familiar, I have worked side by side Mike for the last 22, 23 years. And so there's a lot of the pieces that normally I'm behind the scenes, but today you're going to hear from me and Jerry directly. So, okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Just something I wanted to bring up that was given to us or mentioned to us from one of our advisors. If you're not interested in, oops, I'm sorry, I just got to get this going back here again. There we go. If you're not interested in being a Medicare professional, Medicare agent, this is a great tool that helps you be able to provide value, show, make a comparison between your clients' already existing Medicare policies without having to really be in the Medicare market. So again, it's just another value-added tool that you're able to provide your clients with. It's as simple as just going to healthpilot.com. They actually have an advisor tab here that you can just go ahead and click on, and you can set up the comparison tool as a portal for you personally. Help to plug in your client's information that will give them an idea whether or not which comparison policy that would be best for them. So it's just kind of another value-added tool for you to be able to take a look at. It's super helpful, super easy to do, and it's nothing that you have to be an experienced Medicare rep. It simply allows you to be able to look like you have the back ends of the resource behind you with HealthPilot, and then they kind of help make all of those choices for you. So just wanted to bring that up again. I'll put that URL with the call posting, so any of you that want to go there, you can just take a look at healthpilot.com. Okay, and then I'll come back here in just a minute. I'm going to swap this back over to Jerry and let him take off here for a little bit. There you go, Jerry.
All right, let me get that here. We work out there okay?
Yep, looks great.
Perfect. All right. Hey, good morning, guys. I'm excited to be on the call here to share some more product information with you. I'm going to go a little bit more in detail. I'm excited. It's summertime, hopefully for most of us now, especially us up here in Minnesota where it's winter all the time. We're excited for the warm weather, and I'm excited for the hot rates. We've been in rates going up like crazy, as I'm sure a lot of you guys have noticed, which is really fun when you're in the annuity business to have things kind of popping up more and more. Obviously, principal protection is something that's really important, but it's nice when you can get a little yield in there too as well. And kind of to go with that too, as far as things getting hotter, there's different carriers that are deciding to get more aggressive too as well in the game. And one in particular that I want to talk with you guys, there's actually two products I want to talk about. A couple ones that I want to highlight that are ones that we maybe haven't talked about in a while. And a lot of times when I'm talking about product, guys, I want to let you guys know, hey, here's some really great things that are coming up. I'm not always necessarily saying, hey, here's the end all be all, but I want you guys to be aware that, hey, here's some nice fits. Here's the areas that they're going to fit in. And these are, I am recommending these ones at times for certain scenarios and situations. But one of those carriers that I'm excited about that is finally kind of jumping in and being aggressive again is Lincoln. So Lincoln, any of you guys who've used them, a lot of people probably haven't used them a ton over the last several years, simply because just the aggression of the carrier. They just haven't been that great of a carrier. They kind of, when rates went down, they kind of jumped out of, the income rider game. And then they did have some growth products, but they really weren't that great. But right now, what I want to talk about today is the Opti Blend series from Lincoln. So they have their 5, 7, and 10-year product. It is strictly a growth-focused bond alternative product. One of the cool things about them is they're obviously a very strong carrier. So it's they're an A+ rated carrier. Everybody knows kind of who they are. Lincoln Financial Field out there in Philadelphia, headquartered in North Carolina. It's nice to be able to have some of these high A-rated carriers that have strong growth. They're available in pretty much every BD market as well. So if you are with a BD, I don't think there's a BD that doesn't allow you to use Lincoln. But this product is basically, this is just a simple growth story is what it is. There's no income riders with it. I spoke to Lincoln, I think it was a week ago or so, and I asked them, hey, are you guys going to bring your riders back? Are you going to bring the I for Life rider? Because I know a lot of you guys may have used that in the past where you could get the exclusion ratio on the income rider for some of those non-qualified accounts. And they said for this product, for the Opti Blend series, they're probably not going to bring it back on this because actuarially, when you don't have income riders on products and there's no opportunity to be able to do that, then they can really give you a lot more in terms of growth potential. So they're going to keep it strictly the Opti Blend line. They're going to keep this thing strictly a 5, 7, and 10-year, and they're going to keep it strictly just growth products. So pretty cool, principal protection. We're going to get into a little bit of detail on the product here. So kind of same simple kind of deal here. The 7 and 10-year, you have minimum premiums of $10,000, maximum of $2 million without prior approval. It is flexible premium, issues up to age 80, up to age 85 on the 5-year product. So a lot of kind of simple stuff right there. 10% free withdrawal. There is 10% free withdrawal in the first year as well. So that's kind of a unique feature out there where a lot of carriers don't have that. I kind of, it's nice to be able to have it, but I always tell guys, hey, if it really doesn't matter as much to me, but it does have it because typically, if we need the 10% free withdrawal, you're going to want to, I always say take it before you put it in the product anyways, because most carriers, and including Lincoln, they do give you the 10% free withdrawal, but if you do take it in that first year, they do charge you back the commission for that 10%. So I always say, hey, don't use it, but if you absolutely need it for some reason or another, go ahead and take it there. But you can see at the bottom here on the 7 and 10-year chassis, reasonable surrender charges starting off. You can see on the 7-year, it's 9,876 5430, and then on the 10-year, 9,9,876 543210. So really reasonable surrender schedules that they have on the product. I think that's kind of the nature of a real kind of BD type friendly product that's also out there in the independent space. So that's what you see with a lot of the A+ rated carriers. And then most importantly, what we really want to get into is look at, hey, what are the rates like on this? What are some of the indexes? They do have, I'll get into the actual rates here in a second here, but they have a 1 and 2 year BlackRock Dynamic Allocation Index. I was just on the phone with BlackRock and just had a good time listening to what they're all about and kind of what they're doing and their excited partnership with Lincoln here. And you can get it also. We've seen this. I talked about American Equity back in October with you guys, where they had rates where you could buy up and get a higher participation rate. They do have an option for that on the BlackRock Dynamic. You can see on the top here it says 1 year BlackRock Dynamic Allocation Participation Plus. Basically, and I'll show you the rates here in a minute. That's adding a fee to the index, get higher rates on their BlackRock index. And then the 1 year Fidelity AIM Dividend Participation Index, this does include dividends inside of it as well. They've had this index around for a while, so a lot of you guys are probably familiar with it. And they've really just boosted their rates. I want to say they went, well, we'll get into the rates in a second. The 1 year S&P 500 daily risk control with the spread is a great index. They have the 1 year S&P cap, and then they have the 1 year S&P participation rate. So let's take a look and see what those indexes are. They have some nice options. Here they are. So we have the 5 year, the 7, and the 10. What's exciting here, I like to kind of focus in when you look at the higher bands here on the products. So they have a below 100K and you have above 100K here. The 3.5% fixed rate. So one of the things I brought up to a lot of people is you could, with that high of a fixed rate, I think it's one of the highest on an FIA right now. You literally could put half of the account into the 3.5% fixed rate. That would give you a floor, a guaranteed floor of 175 if you had someone who wanted that, so they know at least, hey, on the entire amount of the money, at least I'm making 175, and then you can go into any one of the other index allocations to go and get some of the upside. So I think that's kind of a fun little story when you have that high of a fixed account on there. Obviously, fixed rates on FIAs are only guaranteed for that 1 year, but in kind of the world that we're living in right now, I would expect to see us be able to kind of keep that rate for a little while. And obviously, you can move in and out of your allocations on an annual basis as well. So you do have great index allocations. But you have the 1 year BlackRock. We're coming in on the high band at 155% participation, really good leverage. And I'm going to show some historical, some best, worst, and most recent, so you can see what some of this kind of correlates to. But 155 par on the 1 year is very good. You can add the fee, and the fee I believe is 1%, and it boosts that up from 155% par to 200% par. So if you want to get some leverage, you think the market's going to do good, you can go ahead and you can put that fee on there. Or you can just jump into the 2 year point to point. So we'll wait, a little longer, do the 2 year point to point, and you can get that at 200% participation. I like to do a blend on my indexes a lot of times. I like to use a couple different indexes. Sometimes I'll do, a blend of the 1 year and the 2 year. I'm going to show you an allocation that I did here where I used 4 of them, but we got the Fidelity AIM Dividend Participation Index, 150% par, the S&P 5% daily risk control at a quarter point. That's outstanding. The fact that we can get that at a quarter point right now on the spread. And then we have a 1 year S&P cap at 7%. I think I talked about this when we went over the rate changes like 3 weeks ago. Man, the fact that we can see 7, 7.5%, 8% caps and whatnot nowadays is really cool to see, because it's been quite a while since we've seen that. And then the S&P participation rate, this is exciting, 40% participation rate on the pure S&P 500. You can get some really nice returns out of that. I think that for those of you that are kind of wondering, like, hey, with rates going up, when are we going to get those 50, 55% participation rates on a 1 year point to point? I think just because of some of the volatility in the market, the 1 year, the S&P 500 participation rate is probably the hardest index to price out for insurance companies, and especially it's so volatile. And then when you have volatility in the market, it's really hard to price out those options for it. So I think we'll get there eventually, but the unsteadiness of the market's keeping that rate down. But 40 is pretty darn good. I think you can probably expect it, if you looked at historical on that, you'd probably be around like the 6.5% range. So pretty good stuff. But I want to show you guys some samples. So what does Lincoln OptiBlend actually look like? What are the participation rates or the caps? What does this kind of equate to? Here's an illustration, a sample I did, 100,000, and I blended it between 4 indexes. So I went with the 1 year BlackRock Dynamic Allocation Participation. I love that too. BlackRock's got such a good name in the industry there. I think they're the largest money manager in the world right now. But I did 25% in the 1 year BlackRock. I did 25% in the 2 year BlackRock. I didn't use the fee version where you buy it up. I just wanted to kind of keep it pure. Here's what it looks like if you have no fees on the product. And then I went 25% in the 1 year Fidelity, and then 25% in the 1 year S&P daily risk control. We could have probably put the fixed in there. I guess we'll leave that to your imagination, or if you want to have Matt or myself, you got some cases you want to work out, I can show you that strategy. But I want to show you kind of these 4 here and what that kind of looks like there. So this is the most recent 10-year period. This is January 2012 to January 2022. And this is that 4 index blend, comes up to 8.49 average over the last 10 years, which is fun because when you have a blend of 4 different indexes that they're not necessarily correlating together, to be able to have, I've had some people, sometimes there's certain vol control indexes or various different things that they use, and they could have a bad year on it. I like being able to kind of spread that opportunity out so that you have the opportunity to kind of take the sting off if there is some down strategies inside of certain investments or index allocations that you choose. So pretty impressive to me that you can get over the most recent 10-year with the rates where we're at to be able to get this kind of a most recent 10-year period on the Lincoln product. I'm using 4 different allocations. And then we can flip up here. We have what we got here, a growth growth scenario here. So from 95 to 2005, they're showing 9.26. And then this is their kind of the worst projection area here was this 8.25 here in a down market for them. So pretty solid. It's just kind of a pretty steady index across a lot of different time periods on here. So I think that's pretty exciting to see. And then kind of breaking it out, if we want to see these indexes on their own here. Here's the BlackRock 1 year. Because you get that big leverage, here's what the index did. Here's what it credited, 9.13, because you're getting 155 par. Here's the 2-year BlackRock, 10.36 is what this averaged over the most recent 10 years. It's kind of breaking those indexes out now instead of showing them all piled together. So you can see, you get some pretty good opportunity here. And then moving forward here, here's the Fidelity Index, 6% return on the index, but because you get all that leverage, 9.78 is what they actually credit your account on it. And then the S&P Daily Risk Control did 5.77 the most recent 10-year period, and because you get a little bit of leverage there, you're at the 6% average on it. So Lincoln, pretty good, like we said here. Kind of going here, taking a look at the ratings here. You got A+ from AM Best, A+ from Fitch, A1 from Moody, and an AA- there from Standard & Poor's. If you need a highly rated carrier and want some growth, Lincoln's a good one to look at there. And they're pretty reasonable when it comes to suitability as well. They're not, they have good people you can kind of talk to over there, and they'll give you a good idea. And they're a reasonable carrier. It is flexible premium, so I think that's a plus. Couple other little notes about Lincoln that I think are nice to know about here is, yeah.
One quick question. What was the death benefit? So just a couple of screens ago, I had a question about the death benefit.
Oh, death benefit is full account value. So if the client passes away at any time during the surrender period, it's going to be whatever the account value is at that time. So there's no enhanced death benefit or anything like that. It's just full account value at death for the death benefit. Does that answer the question?
That's perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Yep. Guys, too, Roth conversions. If, by the way, guys, if anyone has any questions too as well, feel free to reach out, Matt or myself, and I can probably take a few questions after this too as well. Roth conversions, they do partial Roth conversions. There's like 3 or 4 carriers out there that do it. Basically, I don't think they're my favorite on how they do their Roth conversions, but they do allow you to do partial Roth conversions. So if you set up an account, if you set up an IRA account, it's qualified, you have the money over there, and then you all of a sudden decide, you know what, I have 500 grand in here. I don't want to convert the entire account to a Roth at one time because that's not tax efficient for me. Maybe I want to do $50,000 a year. I want to do small amounts because that's much wiser and more tax efficient for me. You do have the capability to do that with Lincoln. So partial Roth conversions or whole Roth conversions, those are options with Lincoln. So I think that's pretty cool. And then the non-qualified stretch, the rare non-qualified stretch, there's not many carriers out there that'll do this anymore. So if you have a non-qualified inherited that's going to it's going to go to a non-spouse, they'll allow you to stretch that out. You can transfer the money over on that DB without having to pay taxes, and you can stretch the taxes on that gain there on the non-qualified account over the life expectancy of that beneficiary, even if it's not a spouse. They allow you to do that. And remember, on non-qualified, you're not underneath the Secure Act in the 10-year payout rule, so you can stretch that over lifetime. And so there's very few carriers that actually allow that. Lincoln is one of the carriers that do that. So if you want to get someone into a great growth product and they want to be able to stretch that out, you can call me or Matt, and we can talk with you about how to do that. And that's one of the unique strategies that Lincoln has. Flexible premium, like I said. So if you want to flex premiums into it, that's pretty fun for people that want to maybe save a little bit. They just want to pump some money into it here and there as they get it and get some growth on it. It's better than the banks. Lincoln's a good contract to be able to do that with. And then comp on these, it's really strong. The 10-year is 7%, and the 7-year is 4.5%. So I think right there in terms of A-rated 10-year product, 7% comp on the upfront, that's about as strong as it gets out there. If you're wondering a bunch of the other comp options, just give Matt or myself a call. I'll go with you guys through that stuff in detail. 7-year, 4.5%. That's pretty standard, I would say. I'd like to see it a little bit higher, maybe at 5, but they are A plus rated, so typically comps a little bit lower on those. But 4.5 still is, that's about industry standard for a 7-year, and 7% on a 10-year. But so that's Lincoln. That's one contract. I think this is one to at least be aware of, know about it, because you're probably going to hear about it. I think, as you can see, there's some really strong pieces to that particular product. And then kind of, I want to, if you have questions, feel free to reach out to me and Matt after the call. Keep this one in mind. One other product that is kind of a blast from the past and has never really been thought of, but because where rates are going, I think it's kind of an exciting. I have one more product I want to chat with you guys about, and that is kind of changing gears. This is the Market 10 Bonus Index from Equitrust. So Equitrust, B++ rated carrier, very good carrier, been a great partner at ECAs for a long time. Many of you have used Equitrust, probably enjoy using them, like their products. They're a very easy, flexible company to work with. I love Equitrust. They have some great products. Most of you guys probably use the Market Value Index, which is their standard growth product that's out there. The Market Value Index is a fantastic growth product. Their products are flexible premium. That's awesome with Equitrust too as well. Reasonable when it comes to suitability. I think I mentioned that. But the Market 10 was always kind of the product here that was just known because, it had the return of premium on it in case you needed that, but the rates really weren't all that good. And then and then it had the premium bonus on it of 6%, and they give you the premium bonus on flexible premiums, I believe, for the first 5 years. But it's actually got pretty darn good growth on it. So I think, I'll get into some details here more on it. A lot of us, when we've looked at saying, hey, we want a product that has a bonus, but I need to be able to have some accumulation potential, we've looked at things like Silac's Denali bonus, which has been a product that's really fit well in that space. I think Athene's Performance Elite has been great in that space to be able to give a bonus. It's not a huge bonus on it, but be able to give you some growth. Maybe Guggenheim. There's been a couple other products in there. But the problem with those products that I just mentioned, Silac and Athene, when it comes to getting bonus and to be able to get some growth on there, and I may be missing a product that's good for bonus and growth, but those have 5% free withdrawal on them. So we kind of had lacked a nice option to be able to get a little bit more free withdrawal. Well, I think that's where Market 10 comes in really nice too as well. If you want another option for a growth product with bonus, it's 10% free withdrawal on it. You get a great flexible premium product, 6% premium bonus. It's right 0 to 80. And let's not forget, one of the cool parts about Equitrust is they pay full compensation all the way to 80 years old. They're not like a lot of these other carriers, like some of these other ones where they hit you at age 75 in the comp. So kind of a cool thing that they don't have those comp breaks on there. Minimum premium to start off here, $10K. Like it says here at the bottom, 6% premium bonus on all premiums in the first 5 years. We'll flip ahead here, kind of take a look at here. Surrender charges, a little heftier. It's not a BD type product. 10, 10, 10 the first 4 years, but you're getting that premium bonus in there. Free withdrawals, like I said, 10%. They do have the return of premium rider on there. There's very few products that have it. They don't charge you anything for it as well. So that's automatically included. Return of premium, how that works, fellas, is if a client, for any reason, it doesn't matter if it was a week later, 2 weeks later, 6 years later, if they want to get out of the contract, they can get out surrender penalty free with their premium. So with not without gains. So that would kind of equate to is you'd get, the higher of the two, the account value minus surrender charges or return of premium when you want to exercise that. Return of premium is really only useful because of that, what I just said, the first couple of years, like the first year or two, because typically within 2 or 3 years, 4 years, the account value minus surrender charges would be better than the premium itself. So it's really kind of more of an emergency feature in those first 2 years. And the other thing to note is typically on anything return of premium, there's a commission chargeback in the first 2 years if a client exercises return of premium. So keep that in mind, that if the client a year into it decides they want their premium back, it is going to be a full commission chargeback. But it is nice. Sometimes you need that feature for some particular reason or a safety deal, maybe with an older client, you just want to make sure that you can get to it, or there's just that kind of that fuddy-duddy client. Returning premium can be a nice feature to be able to have. But kind of moving ahead, looking at index is what I was talking about here. Pretty good stuff here. So naturally, anytime you do have a bonus product, your rates are less than the non-bonus products. But what I was kind of referring to is in terms of a bonus product, the rates and what you can get for a return on here are pretty good. Fixed account 2.4, 4.25 S&P cap. The index that a lot of people use with this is we'll do a blend between the Barclays Focus 50 down here on the bottom, 1 year point to point, 90% participation, and then on the 2 year, 115. I would say probably 6 months ago, that's where the market value index was at. So it's exciting to see this product where you can get a bonus, get you the exact same type of return there. The S&P Mark 5, which is an index a lot of us are familiar with. It's the S&P, plus you get some commodities action in there, 100% participation, no cap on that. Let's take a look and see what this might have looked like here if we would have used these. I like to use the Barclays Focus 50 quite a bit. Right here, this is the Barclays Focus 50, 1 year point to point. If we look here on the left, this is the best 10-year period, 2010 to 2019. Right here, annual return 7.12. So that's really strong. Worst was 5.19. And then over here, the most recent period is 5.83. So anytime on a bonus product, if I can go over 5% return on my historical when I'm taking a look at it, I'm loving that. Like I said, I like to do blends of 2 year because I can get a little bit more bang for my buck. I don't ever like to do it exclusively. I generally don't like to do a blend where I do, maybe 50% 1 year, 50% 2 year, and then, maybe do the leapfrog method where we take the 1 year portion, put that in the 2 year, and then I have the 2 year point to point coming due on opposite years. Or I just keep it just split, half in the 50, half in the 1 year point to point, half in the 2 year. The 2 year point to point, we get a little more bang here. So on the 10 year, on the best 10, we're 8.5%. The worst, we're at 6.4, and then the most recent 10-year period, we're at 6.88. So, like I said, this is for our growth, but we need a bonus. Maybe there's a surrender charge of some sort, or maybe you just want to be able to have that. I think the Market 10 is an awesome solution. Not to mention, one of the things here with it, we're talking about non-qualified stretches with the Lincoln product. Well, here we go. They are I think they're the best option when it comes to an inherited IRA. So now our Secure Act products where we have to liquidate, 10 years from the death of the decedent there. Equitrust is a solution. They'll take these stretch IRAs. You can put it in their 10-year products as well. I think they're the only carrier out there that allows that. So they have great products. You can use the market value index. You could use this product. I think it's just an awesome product when you need to do an inherited IRA. Kind of the tricky thing people may ask, like, how do they do that? Well, the reason how they're able to do that is basically they have a strategy where if you put the money in the product and there's anything left over in it once you hit that 10-year period, they're just going to send you a 1099 for that because you would have to pull the money out anyways. But instead, you can leave it in there. You don't have to worry about your surrender charges. Leave it in. They'll just make it a taxable event there for the client. And I think it makes sense. I don't know why more carriers don't do it, but I'm sure we will see some people. But they are the carrier that'll do that now. So that's exciting. I think they're my go-to for the inherited IRAs right now. There are some other options, but I think they're the best one in terms of what they can provide the client in terms of return and value to be able to have there. And then we got the Market 10 here, just kind of some last little notes on it. 6% premium bonus, and that's paid on all premiums put in the first 5 years. Great inherited stretch product, and then your comp on it, it's 6% comp on this thing for compensation. It's not as high because you have the bonus, unlike maybe the market value index, which is 7%. So a couple cool products I think everybody should be aware of. I think there's some great uses to them. I think there's some good returns, some good value to the clients. Any quick questions maybe? I know I went a little bit long here, so Missy's got some stuff on to keep here all day. But I'm getting to the end here. Is there any quick questions I can maybe answer? Missy, you want me to answer quick?
Yeah, so just a couple of things. So how does Lincoln bypass the stretch issues was a question that just came up.
How does Lincoln on the non-qualified? So in the non-qualified, it's just following how the rules never changed for the non-qualified stretch. It was with qualifieds under the Secured Act. Non-qualified always stayed the same. Nothing changed here. It still goes over life expectancy. I think there's a lot of confusion on thinking on the non-qualified side that fell underneath the Secure Act. It did not. So it still can be stretched out over a lifetime on the non-qualified stretch. I hope that answers the question. If you want to get into that more detailed, whoever it is, you can give me a call. I'm happy to chat with you about it.
Jay says he's got it, so that makes sense
Okay,
to him. And then
perfect.
another
Yep.
question came in kind of on an unrelated product, but any info on the North American Secure Horizon and the Secure Horizon Plus?
Yeah, go ahead. You can give me a call on that. I'm happy to chat about some of the details on that.
Bob, why don't you just go ahead and give Jerry a call after the call, and he can go through all of that. Okay, that looks like everything else that came in. Any other questions for Jerry here?
Yeah, and thanks, guys. I don't know if there's anything else coming up. These are some nice ideas. I hope maybe they can help some of you guys. Like always, give me a call, give Matt or myself a call, or Dan. We're happy to chat with you about cases, individual basis. I think every case kind of has its own little quirks, and there may be some little detail on some product somewhere else that might fit a little bit better. But these are some good ones that I think have just kind of popped back to relevance. I wanted you guys to be aware of. So.
Perfect. Thanks, Jerry.
Thanks, Missy. Yep.
Yeah. So I'm just going to take a few more minutes here, guys, and go through something that I'm asked pretty often about. Again, I'm happy to walk through with your particular office if you have specific questions or kind of just trying to get the lay of the land as to how to run your epidemic marketing based upon how your current office is set up. So it is something we've talked about a few times, but I continue to get questions on it. So I want to remind those of you that maybe haven't heard it before, or if it needs to be a refresher for some of you. So basically, epidemic marketing is a drip system that we provide to any agent, and it's a 4-branched system. So on that on the website, you're going to come into epidemic marketing, and you're going to see that there's actually kind of 4 parts of the system. It's client and prospect drip, it's the CPA attorney drip, the PR campaign, and the small business. So every month we release content to the agents that you can utilize for any 4 of those systems. By far, our most popular is the client and prospect drip. So that's what we're going to spend the majority of the time today. But no problem. The CPA, the public relations, and the small business can all be found in that exact same spot. So as long as you get to it, you'll find all that same information there as well. So we're just going to focus today on the client and prospect drip, just so that we're not combining a bunch of things. But if you have specific questions, by all means, give me a call, and I'm happy to walk through it specifically with you. The biggest purpose for the client and prospect drip is your method to keep in touch with them. And you always want to be the person. You never know, timing is a big part of this industry. And so you want to be the person that when they need help, that they can think of, and they pick up the phone and they give you a call, or they run into if it's a current client that you are already working with, they might have a referral, or they know of someone that needs that help. So this is your method to always being in front of them, not knowing when the timing might be right for them. So it is a monthly package that we send out. It consists of several different pieces. And who should you send this to? You should send it to everyone, every client, every prospect, every appointment that you have, any no-shows that you have, basically any warm lead that you have ever met or talked with or run into. That's who should get your epidemic marketing package every single solitary month. And again, it's not necessarily the number of people that you send it to, it's the consistency of continuing to send it on a monthly basis as scheduled. And I've got some ideas to kind of help with that. When we used to send that out to clients all the time, and I actually still have a handful of clients that I'll send it to, I would split the time between the newsletter would be at the first half of the month, and then the email blurb that we also offer you guys would be at the second half of the month. So they would always get something twice a month. And again, assuming that they all had emails, which back when we started this wasn't as common, but certainly today that seems to be the case. So they would receive the information around the 5th of the month, around the 20th of the month. And so twice a month, they're constantly hearing from you. And so that kept me in front of them, or kept our office in front of them, making sure that they were always aware that we were there to help. We provided a lot of valuable information. So that is just a recommendation for how to run it from a time standpoint. Doesn't have to be that way. I know some of you have compliance that has to be run through, so it maybe can't happen quite that frequently, or you need to run it a month in advance, a month delayed from when you can get it through your compliance. So let's just walk through real quickly where you can find all of this. And if we have time, I'm just going to show you literally how fast it is, because one of the things that people will call me about is, I'm just not sure exactly how to get the information into my Word document, or how to copy and paste it, or how to use the templates that you're using. So I'll kind of give you some quick little pointers on that as well. So the client and prospect drip can be found underneath marketing, underneath epidemic marketing, and then it's going to be the client and prospect, and then it's monthly epidemic pieces. So the content itself is under monthly epidemic pieces once you get through the client and prospect drip. Now, every month we release new content around the 15th. So every time you come out, or anytime you come out to this web page, you're going to find 2 months of data. So right now, we haven't made it to June 15th yet, so the May and the June pieces are still out there. Once we get past June 15th, you're going to see June and July pieces. So May will fall off and July will be added. The reason we do that is from a compliance standpoint. If you need to have it reviewed, that gives you ample amount of time to take a look at those pieces and then send them off to whoever needs to review them, and hopefully still be able to stay on time. Rarely is it really super critical. Like, we don't reference the month that we have here, so the June 2022 pieces don't necessarily have any reference to June. So, could you use them in July? Absolutely. The only ones that maybe get a little bit more timely is as we get really close to big holidays in the winter. If it's New Year's or if it's Christmas, they might call out a little bit more attention. So you just kind of want to be a little bit aware of that, but it's nothing that on a month-to-month basis, it matters if you send the June pieces out in July, or the May pieces out in June. It's not going to make a huge difference. But when we release the content, you'll notice after June 15th, this will now say July 2022 and June 2022. Okay, so there's 3 pieces within the package, and that consists of the newsletter, the POK checklist, which simply just stands for Personal Organization Kit. We've simplified it over time, but that's what everyone has known it to be called, and it is a kit of all of these tools that we're putting together that helps to keep their life organized. That's why we've referred to it as the POK, Personal Organization Kit checklist. And then the Walk Down Memory Lane, which is just a fun little what happened back in 1957. What were the prices of groceries? What was gas prices? What was the top billboard hits? So just kind of, again, walk down memory lane, just a fun little paper that kind of brings them back in time. The only thing that you need to keep track of is the first month. The first month that you start a new person on it, whether that be a prospect or a client, if they haven't already been started on it before, the first month for them is different, but then they'll blend into the same process that you're going to use every other month for all the rest of the clients or the prospects that you've already started on drip. And the only thing that is different in the first month is that you're writing a handwritten personal message on the actual newsletter itself. You're still sending out that POC checklist and you're still sending out the walk down memory lane. So literally all we're doing is taking the newsletter, printing it out, and putting on a handwritten message. Now, for demonstration purposes here, I've typed this in a handwriting font here just so we can see it and put it on the screen, of course. But basically, it's just super simple. And this is, one idea. You can write whatever you want to, but short and simple. Hi, John and Beverly. Here's a newsletter I sent out to my current clients. I thought you may enjoy it as well. That's all it says. It's this would be a person that is a warm contact, maybe an appointment that I met with. They may or may not have decided to move forward. They've stalled out somewhere in the process. Just super simple. Someone that I've met with or I've talked to, or someone that's on my mind that maybe had a former contact with me, maybe came to an old seminar and I hadn't gotten them started on Epidemic prior to this point. So very short and simple. And again, all it is whatever the month's newsletter is, print it out, write the handwritten message, print out the POK checklist and the walk down memory lane. If they were someone that maybe didn't show up for an appointment, I would put a different type of a message. Again, something simple. I'm sorry that something must have come up. We weren't able to get together. No worries. In the meantime, I thought I'd share with you something I sent to all my clients. Thought you might enjoy it. Please give me a call if you'd still like to speak or have questions. Again, it's the same newsletter, just a slightly different message. Again, a handwritten message. And then going forward, they all blend into the same group. So that's the only thing that you have to do differently in the first month. And I think sometimes that's the thing that people are a little bit worried about, is that they're writing these handwritten messages, every month, and you're not. You're simply doing that on the very first month that you are starting a new person or another person on the drip system. Then from that point going forwards in month 2 and beyond, you're going to actually type in a personal message into the newsletter. Just type it before you actually print the newsletter. Sometimes people communicate very differently with their clients than they do their prospects. So in some of the agents' offices that I've worked with, we've had to split them up a little bit just because their level of contact with their clients has always been significantly warmer and friendlier than the relationship that they have with their prospects, which is fine. We just need to know that so that you have a way of being able to separate those out. And so in those cases, those people may have 2 different sets that they send out, a different typed message for their clients than they type to their prospects. But as time goes on, they tend to be able to kind of reel them back in so that they're really only putting one message for all of the people that have been combined together now, whether they're prospects, warm leads, seminar previous attendees, clients, anyone that they're sending these out to. And I usually just try to say, keep it personal, keep it flowing so that they understand you're something more than just an advisor. You have a life outside the office. It might be activities that you're involved with, whether that be your kids, grandkids. It might be your community, if you're very involved in your community or church group or school organizations. You can just go ahead and type some sort of a message. Mine usually always has to do with my kids. I have a couple of teenagers that keep me busy on a day-to-day basis, and so mine always has something to do with that. We just wrapped up school here in the last week, so this was last month's. Actually, this was the June one, so I guess it just would have been a week ago. So we just actually wrapped up their final week of school, and that's usually kind of what I'll talk about is a lot my kids or my kids' activities or any of the groups that I help out with. So just a typed message, you go ahead and print it for all of your people. you add in your POK checklist, and you add in your walk down memory lane. And then from there, you're putting it in an envelope. I have people say, well, does it have to be in a flat one? Absolutely not. As long as you're kind of limiting it, it's 3 pieces of paper, because usually it's, I guess for some people it might be 4, because it's a 2-page newsletter. And then this is the 1-page walk down memory lane, and usually it's a 1-page checklist as well. So 3 or 4 pieces of paper. I tend to say put it in either a 6x9 envelope if you don't want to use a full-size one, which does limit postage, so that's a smart idea. Or you can use the full-size one. It's going to cost you a little bit more in postage. The 6x9 is a little bit easier than like a standard number 10 envelope that you have to fold multiple times. It just kind of limits the fold line. So that's the process. It's very, very simple. And so I always have people say, well, I'm just a little bit worried about, doing it from the templates that you guys give us. So I'm just gonna take a minute here and show you literally how easy that can be done, so that it's not scary. I'm just going to go ahead and switch over to a different screen here so that I've got a little bit more space to work with. So I'm sorry, guys, I'm not nearly as fluent at doing this as Mike is. So when you come into the website, you're just going to go into Epidemic Marketing, and I'm just doing the monthly epidemic pieces. I'm just going to do the June one here. So these are, we've got them sectioned off. So this all pertains with the newsletter or client prospect drip. This is your CPA. This is your email, which I talked about briefly here at the beginning. So if you want to just send off the email on a monthly basis, just choose the opposite time of the month that you're sending the newsletter. So if you send the newsletter on the 5th, send the email around the 20th. If you send the newsletter on the 20th, then maybe you send this out early in the month or the following month. Letter to the editor is another piece that we write for you, and then small business pot of gold is the last one. So these are all of the pieces that we write on a monthly basis that you can send out to your clients or send out to your professional affiliations as well. So let me just open up so you can see. I guess I'm going to just mention quickly. So the editable disclosure is the exact same piece as the one above it. It's just that it adds a text box on it that allows you to be able to put in a disclosure if you need. So at the bottom, if you go down here, you're just going to see this information that we've just put a holding spot here, but you could put your securities disclosure or RIA disclosure, whatever you need. That's the only difference between the one that says editable disclosure versus the lost or stolen wallet. So I just want to, the main checklist. Same goes here on the walk down memory lane. It's the exact same thing, just a text box on the bottom that allows you to be able to fill in your disclosure as you need. So for today's purpose, all I'm going to do is take, whoopsies, sorry about that. I'm going to take a template that I just set up prior to this call, and I'm going to show you how easy it is to take off the information from the website that we give you and just put it into my template. Now, I call it a template because simply all I did was go out here and fix up the footer so that I don't have to fix that every time. And then I just saved it as my template document. So I just put in the address, I put in the footer information, but everything else is the same look and feel that it would have been when you click on the June pieces. So when I click on the June pieces and download it here, I'm just going to pull this open. So in my screen, I'm going to enable the editing. This is exactly as it gets downloaded to you. We are required to keep this first page of FINRA information on there for you. It's just letting you guys know that, hey, this has been given to you by us. And then kind of just our helpful hints, hey, make sure that you put your message in there with things like your kids, your family activities, interests, hobbies, all that kind of stuff. Once you get to this page, you'll notice that it looks very similar to the template that I've set up here for you. My template is actually from May of 2022. So all I would do real time is to take this information, and I'm just going to copy all of the information that's in here. And I'm going to put it over here in my template. I'm going to change this to June. And then down here, I'm going to paste what I just got done copying from the other document in here. And there you have it. Now I might go through, whoopsies, I must have missed my heading. Sorry about that. Let me just do that one more time here. Somewhere along the line, I missed getting my heading in here. Whoops. There we go. Oops. Undid it there just a little bit too much there, so put that back in there. Okay, so this was my old heading. I'm just going to get rid of that. This is my new heading, thinking about going solar. This is all my text. Now, my template had gray text in it, so I'm just going to update that to be darker text. So that's just a little bit easier to read. But that's literally all you have to do in order to get it from the one to the other. Then I just go through, make my new note in here, and I can just say it's been a great start to the summer, and just type in there whatever I want to add in for my little personal note, and go ahead and print it out. That's done. That's all you have to do. So it's very simple. I know sometimes for people it's like, I'm just not very good at getting this all done and moving it into a template. It doesn't have to be difficult or scary. If you have questions or you're trying to figure out how to get it set up specifically for your office, absolutely give me a call. I'm happy to walk you through how we would recommend. Let's see, there's a couple of questions here, so let me just read through them real quick. Are we required to keep the Lakes Publishing disclosure on the pieces? No, absolutely not. You do not need the Lakes Publishing. We put it there as a placeholder. We are required to give that to you guys. As long as you know that it's copywritten content by us, we're perfectly fine with you removing that, putting in your disclosure as you need to. And so that's not necessary for you to keep. I had a couple of other ones on here. Anyway, paste the other two documents into the email that you pasted into. Okay, so I'm not pasting them into an email, but you do bring up a good point. So what I am doing here is this is the snail mail version. Some people will say, well, can I just email out that newsletter? So I'm going to go on record to say snail mail for the newsletter is what we intend. If your choices are no go on the snail mail and send out the newsletter via email or none at all, I'm going to tell you, well, email's better than none at all. So how would you go about doing this if you were going to put it into an email template? You would copy and paste the same information into your email, but you're not going to be able to take the other two pieces, which I think what Ben, you might be asking is, can I take the checklist and the walk down memory lane and also put it into an email? What I would instead recommend doing is no, not to put those pieces in an email, other than keep the PDF document that it downloads, save that document off to whatever system you're using to send that email out, and give them a link to that, not an attachment. So I don't know if that makes total sense, Ben. I think we've talked about this a little bit in the past, but you're going to want to house this PDF document online out in the cloud somewhere, and then give them the link to that. Don't attach it via the email unless your system that you're using specifically allows attachments. Otherwise, it likely is going to get caught in spam for everyone's email, for the people's email that you're sending it out to. So again, I'm going to go on record saying this is not meant to send out as an email. This piece right here that says email monthly client and prospect, that is meant to send out as an email, and you absolutely can send. That's short and sweet. So that one is very short and sweet. It's not multiple pages like the snail mail is. It's just simply a little blurb of information. No longer, this is actually kind of on the long side for what we normally have, but that's what you would send out via email. The newsletter is meant to send out via snail mail every month along with those other two pieces. That's why it has multiple pieces. So hopefully that helps. Are there any other questions that are kind of quick ones that I can answer here as a whole group? Otherwise, if it's something that's specific to your office or the way that you have your office set up, feel free to reach out to me personally, and I can certainly help brainstorm through or help you individually. So any other questions for Jerry or myself, I guess, at this point? And again, we appreciate your guys' flexibility, and I apologize that it wasn't Mike or Jeff today. We try and have tried very hard over the course of the last 23 years to not have that happen, but there are just some dates in life that we can't control. So I apologize for that, but they will be back in the office next week. Mike will actually be back in later this week, and then Jeff will be back in next week as well. So if you need anything, please feel free to reach out to us. We're always here to help, any one of us. We would love to hear from you, and any product questions can go to Matt or Jerry. Thank you guys very much. I don't see any other questions here, and I appreciate all of the kudos. We love to have a little bit of feedback when it's not our normal guys doing the call. So thank you guys so much. I appreciate it. Have a wonderful week, and we'll talk with you next week.